Yo, what is up guys? It is esports content entertainment coming at you guys with another video here today. And in today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys my LEC 2023 Spring Split Week 1 recap. So like I am currently doing with the LCS 2023 Spring Split, I am also going to be recapping the weeks for the LEC 2023 Spring Split as well as the next split as well. And yes, like I mentioned before, my other recap videos for the LCS, this also goes for the playoffs and the semifinals and the finals and MSI and Worlds as well. Now, I was supposed to do a Cloud9 podcast episode also going more in depth about the games that took place this past weekend, but I got really busy and then I became really tired actually. I don't know what came over me and I just was like not mentally ready to just do the episode, you know. And don't worry, I'll be doing a Cloud9 podcast episode about the LEC 2023 Spring Split Week 2, but for this week, you know, I thought I would just take a break, you know, and just recover and just go strong with week 2. But since I knew I was already going to be doing a weekly recap of this past weekend games anyway, you guys would get covered anyway. So now that all that's out of the way, the biggest two aspects I want to focus on in this Week 1 recap for the LEC 2023 Spring Split is talking about Fnatic and Team Vitality, actually. So I'm going to go over all the other teams first, and then I'll save those two teams for later. So let's start off with SK Gaming. They started off strong, 3-0, because, you know, last split, a lot of people were saying, well, going into the LEC 2023 Spring Split, can they take their winter split form over? You know, it's always one of these things where a team like that can surprise a lot of people, play really well, but it's hard to keep that momentum up. And it's looking like they have not even skipped a beat. Yeah, there's some sloppiness still in their gameplay, but what I really like about this roster of players is that they're always looking for a way to come back into the game even if they get behind. Like, they're not just willing to just like lay over and just give over the entire game. They're willing to fight themselves out of a bad situation, and realistically you probably shouldn't be fighting yourself out of situations like that. Like, I'm gonna be honest here, if the enemy team has a 10,000 gold lead and they can't close that out, that's how bad the enemy teams are actually. But, you know, for SK Gaming, they get a chance to, you know, claw games back that they realistically should have lost, and it also helps them, you know, play from behind as well, because a lot of teams always struggle, not for like because their players are really bad. It's more like people struggle from actually not knowing how to close out a lead from ahead, and some teams are also vice versa where they never actually get behind, so they don't really know how to play that out. But overall, Marcoon still looks like one of the best junglers in the league. Irrelevant continues to be solid rock in the top lane. Serta's having some pretty good performances still, actually. The bot lane of Exekick and DOS is still great. One of the best bot lanes in the LEC. I forgot who's the head coach or who's managing, you know, this roster of players, but they did a fantastic job on these players. Remember, guys, they were one game away in the LEC 2023 Winter Split playoffs actually from making top 3. If they had beaten Mad Lions in that fourth place match, actually, they would have gotten top 3. You know, it wouldn't have mattered if, you know, SK lost to Koi. They would have been top 3. They were literally one game away from finishing top 3. That's actually insane. The fact that they even finished top 4 is just great. But what's crazy is that they were one game away from finishing top 3. And that's really amazing. And I'm glad they've been able to, you know, take that form from the winter split over to this split as well. And I hope they keep that form up. But when it comes to like week 1s and overreactions, you know, it always stems from, okay, can the momentum of this team be sustained throughout the rest of the split, right? But what's better about the splits now is that you only have 3 weeks, actually. So it's going to be a bit easier for that as well for this roster. And judging off the last split, it looks like they can definitely still go to toe-to-toe with like some of the best teams. Their early game is disgusting. Like, if this team gets a lead with Marcoon and Execa and DOS, game's over. It is GG. Alright, so let's go to Astralis. So Astralis dropped Dejor, who was by far and away their weakest player, running it the entire split. Astralis kind of played better than most people expected, but you knew that, like, without a strong mid laner, there's no way this roster could ever compete, right? So what I really liked about Astralis last split was Finn was constantly trying to get his team ahead, constantly trying to push the pace of the game, and he looked bad doing it sometimes, but overall still kept that, you know, that firepower in him. Like, he was still trying to get things to happen. But, you know, when you have a mid laner who's perennially running it down, there's really not much you can do. Also, you could kind of tell that Dejor and 113 had really bad synergy as well. I don't think 113 played bad at all, really. I think he just looked okay. But given the fact that Dejor was just turbo sprinting it the whole split, he's not going to look as good either, but he's looked fine overall. He's not, like, doing anything bad, really. He kind of messes up pathing sometimes, but that's pretty much the worst thing he can do, really. Kabe still looked pretty good overall. Kabe's had a great year so far. I hope this continues with as the weeks go by and going into the BO3 stage as well. Janghoon, he looks still pretty solid too. As a bot lane, they look pretty solid together. But I'm still going to be honest here, Kabe still looks good overall. I think he should get more appreciation for his gameplay. But the thing with Kabe is, if you put Kabe on a different team, as people have said, could he perform at the same level? Those are like shoulda, woulda, couldas. That doesn't really matter. What matters right now is he actually playing very good on Astralis, and they need that secondary carry threat for leader. You can tell just from these last 3 games that they had, that leader is such a big upgrade over Dejor. And, you know, maybe this time around they can get themselves a better seeding for the BO3s if they don't finish, you know, obviously bottom 8, actually. So, yeah, I've been happy with Astralis so far. I'm gonna be honest here with you guys. I don't remember that much about Team BDS's gameplay. I really don't. For some reason, I just kind of blanked out all their games. Not because I hate this org or anything, but I just really didn't care all that too much about who they were playing against. I'm just not excited to really watch this roster of players play. I mean, yeah, Crowny's pretty good overall. Adam's still pretty solid overall, but I don't know, I just wasn't that interested in watching them week 1. Don't worry, I'll pay more attention to them coming up in week 2, but just want to make sure I'm being honest here. I didn't really care about them all that much in this week, because I kind of figured, okay, they're just going to be the same that there were in the winter split, and when I watched the games, I was like, yeah, this is kind of the same team, but there's still a team that isn't going to be a free win, which is good, and I like that as well right now with the LEC, is that not every team is just going to be just a free win, and that's actually good, because there's some splits here where SK and Astralis were pretty much free wins, and then Team BDS comes in and is like, I'm a free win too. Alright, let's go to Excel. Excel, actually, the first game I saw from them, which was against Fnatic, Otawamne had that really good game on Cassante, but then after that, okay, I'll say this here. This is a bit better from Excel compared to the last split, because, like, when the last split started, you could tell this team was just mentally gone. They're just all fucked up, right? But these past games that I saw, yeah, they're 1-2, but this looks way better in a smaller aspect compared to what it looked like throughout the entirety of last split, right? That first game they had against Fnatic looked good because, I mean, it's Fnatic, and we'll get to them later. Fnatic is going to be probably one of the worst teams in the LEC 2023 spring split, which is crazy to say, you know? But I did like what I saw from Excel. It looks like Vetio is going to be a bit more proactive on the map. Xerxes looks like he's trying to play League of Legends again. And the bot lane of Patrick and Limit looks a bit more cohesive than Patrick and Targamas. I also like the fact that, you know, it looks like Limit is definitely as a better pairing with these players than Targamas was, because I think Limit is going to talk a bit more in comms, and I think they needed that, because Targamas is, like I mentioned before in my Cloud9 podcast, he's a more of a quiet guy, so you need a guy that's going to talk a bit more, kind of say, hey, this is what we need to do right now in the game to win, and I think that's going to be better for them. They've gotten a win, the win that they got against Fnatic was that one win, because they went, yeah, they only won against, they only won against Team BDS last split, right? So at least they got their first win out of the way this early, right? And for Excel, the schedule coming up for them is Team Heretics, which should be a win that they should get. they face Mad Lions, which should on paper be a loss, and they play SK Gaming. So I think they're probably going to end up finishing like 2-4 after week 2, but I'll see what happens with this roster. Like I said before, it could still go bad. Like if their scrims are going pretty bad, and we can know on stage that they're just going to fall over and die too. All right, so let's go to Koi. Koi just look, ugh. That really sluggish game against Team Heretics. And I remember they also lost the Mad Lions game they lost the Astralis game as well, right? Yeah, they lost to Astralis pretty convincingly, actually. Look, they look pretty bad in the Astralis game. Then they ended up getting just utterly eviscerated by Mad Lions. I wouldn't say eviscerated. There are moments in there where they could have done something, but nothing crazy, right? And they had that really sloppy game against Team Heretics. So is Koi going to be a team where they're going to scale up with the split? Because when it got to the BO3 stage in the winter split, they still looked good overall. Like, when it got to the BO3s in the playoffs, they looked like a competent team overall, right? They're like, okay, that's the Koi that I remember. But the problem here with Koi is that Malrong is... Like, I like Malrong's high ganking playstyle that he has. I think that's made him stand out amongst the junglers in the LEC. Right? But the thing here is that this high ganking playstyle that Malrong actually has comes with a lot of issues because he sets himself so far behind trying to get his lanes ahead that he's essentially building squishy on all of his champions with just basically damage items with wards, and he's just going to get one shot in team fights. So it's basically he's going in with the mindset of, I get these guys ahead and they just carry the game. I give them all the resources, I gank whenever they ask me to, I sack my camps, and then I just go, right? I just hope that Koi can get back to that form they had with Otawamne, but I don't think that's possible with Jigenda. I just don't think it's possible. Like, Jigenda, to me, is still just a worse version of Otawamne. Like, yeah, he had the one good Jace game, but he's not really had, like, any standout games. This isn't, like, last split either, and this one, he just had the one Jace game. So, yeah, but I'll hold more judgment on Koi until I see them play out most of the spring split regular season that we're going to see for the next 2 weeks, right? All right, so let's go to team... Do we do Mad Lions or Team Heretics? Because we haven't did G2 yet either. Okay, so I'll save my top 2. So I'll do Mad Lions and G2. No, Fnatic last. Fnatic for sure last, okay? I'll do Team Heretics. Who cares about them? Team Heretics had the same problems they pretty much had last split. Guys, keep in mind, Jack Spectra to me is just a discount version of Exekick. Lane's worse, plays worse in most situations with whatever bot lane they have. He plays team fights like okay, but he's just not that good. He's, like I said before, just a discount version of Exekick without the upsides. Mersa is just not a good support. Like, he wasn't a good support last split either. Mersa's just a bottom 3 support. I don't know, last year he sucked. He sucked for the most part this year. Like, Jankos is kind of just stuck in, like, low elo hell right now. I don't really know what's going on with Team Heretics. I don't think Evie is as bad as people are making him out to be. I think the issue here is Evie is, people forget, Japanese, and the communication issues are going to be even worse for him and for Ruby, because Ruby's Korean, so you have a Japanese and Korean speaking, set of players, right? Then you also have 2 other players that are just not good to cover up the weaknesses in their bot lane, who just pretty much lose every single 2v2. Then Jankos tries to pretty much get Ruby ahead, because he doesn't really dedicate that many ganks or resources bot lane, and Jankos is just trying to make plays and just be aggressive and get ahead of the enemy jungler, but he knows that if he dedicates resources to Evie or Ruby, they're probably just going to throw him. So this is just a mess of a team right now. And people knew this kind of going in, that this team could have been this in the winter split. I think they've had like some games where they've looked like how they should look. Like when you think of this roster, you could see it all coming together. But with that being said, I don't know. They look like the worst team in the league next to Fnatic, right? So that's just how I feel about Team Heretics right now. They could probably maybe get a few wins here and there, but it's looking like really, really bad for them. They look just all out of sorts on the map. They're just not good at anything right now. It looks like when they got knocked out of the BO3 stage early last split, they just, because they had some decent games. There was a chance that they could have beaten Team Vitality in one of those BO3s too. People forget that, right? But it's just not looking good for them right now. All right, so let's go to G2. My boys, who I support in the LEC, G2 Esports. They won their 10th split. Proud of the boys. Actually been watching this org since they were a challenger team back in 2015 when they knocked out SK Gaming to get into the European LCS at the time. Some of the G2 games were pretty... Okay, I'll say this though. They already qualified for MSI, right? So all they pretty much need to do to show people that they pretty much still care about winning is, well, you have the players on the roster, right? So Hansama went from pretty much winning nothing to just finally winning a title just this year with this org, right? So what are you really playing for G2? Well, you're playing to just get in shape for MSI, right? Because you just had the winner split, they qualify for MSI 2023. They're pretty much playing to look good and get in shape for MSI, right? All they need to do to get a bit better is what they did last split, which is try out these different comps, try out all these different picks that you like, do it in the regular season, but then when it comes to BO3s and playoffs, you could potentially have that playstyle as an edge for you in the drafting phase, which is definitely a thing where we've seen the drafting phase evolve over the years to the point where having these extra picks here and there can really dictate how a drafting phase really goes. I think Caps has become a little bit too full of himself. Not like in a bad way. I like cocky players, don't get me wrong, but I don't really think Malphite mid is the thing. I like when he plays picks like Kled mid because that can actually provide a lot more damage and won't just be based in an ult. He can also roam around the map faster and have a bit more of an impact. Like, the Kled mid can work against certain mid lane champions that are all just based around getting an early game lead from getting like a lot of skirmish heavy fights going, right? So a champion like a Kali is not going to do very, very well against a Kled early on because obviously Kled has that extra health bar. She cannot really burst him down, actually. That goes for other mid laners as well. So I kind of want to see how are G2 really going to improve, because I think Broken Blade has his place in the team, but there's still games where he just doesn't look as good, where he looks like there's a lot more there to be desired, but he's not like bad really, you know? Would I consider Broken Blade a top 4 LEC top laner? Maybe, you know? I think that if G2 want to do well at MSI, when we get to that later on this year, they're going to need another carry threat, and I think that carry threat is not going to be Broken Blade. I think that carry threat is going to be in Hansama and Mickey X. Hansama and Mickey X, even in the G2 losses, still look really good. This has been one of Hansama's best splits, actually. A nice bounce back from the TL, roster he had last year, where he looked really bad. He looked really good in winter. Him and Mickey X looked great in that LEC 2023 winter split, and then has been looking really good right now. I think Caps and Yike still look like a cohesive mid-jungle duo. You can tell that Yike was not playing well earlier this week, but the thing with G2 is G2's been an org throughout most of the years where even if it starts kind of bad for them in some splits, they've been able to scale up with the split. Remember, you don't want to always blow your load immediately when the split begins because you might burn out your players as the split goes on, right? So that's how I feel about G2 right now. I still think they're guaranteed a top 2 finish because they're going to go to MSI, right? So all that matters is, can they make it back to the finals? But that's still a long ways away right now. So the best thing right now to do is, what is the form that G2 want to have to finish out this regular season for the LEC 2023 spring split, okay? So after that, let's go to Mad Lions, because I'm going to talk about Fnatic and Team Vitality in tandem together, okay? Mad Lions started out wonky, actually. But Mad Lions have the same thing I was going to say about G2. It's like, we saw Mad Lions have a somewhat rocky start last winter split for the LEC 2023, right? And then they started playing pretty good as the weeks went by. A few games here and there that look kind of questionable, but overall, this has also been another org with a different roster of players each year, to the point where, like, the players just scale up with the split, right? And last split, I was going like, okay, this is looking like a jank roster they put together. Karzi and Hillisang, that was going to be basically just a sprint Olympics down there. But, they managed to get it together. in winter and make the finals. Actually, remember, this is the second place team from the LEC 2023 winter split, right? The thing here is, I wouldn't really give up on this team yet. I know people have said they look kind of coin flippy right now. They look kind of jank, but keep in mind, that was also said last split, and they've massively improved, and they look competent overall. The issue with their players is, you could tell there's a cap to all these guys. You know, I like Mad Lions. You know, I'll rock some Mad Lions merch. You know, I like the logo and all that shit. I love me some Niski. I've been watching Niski forever. You know, Hillsang's an awesome player to watch when he's not turbo sprinting it or running it down, actually. But I just think that this roster kind of reminds me of the CLG roster and the LCS. Like, you could tell there's just a cap to how good they can be. I think El Yoya still is going to be a good jungler as the split goes by, but I think Chasey also is a strong top laner too. So my thing here is, can they get back into their LEC 2023 winter split form? If Mad Lions can get back to that, they're still going to be a top 3 team. And I think they'll end up being a top 3 team as the split goes by. I think they're going to be able to out-edge Koi this year as an organization, given the fact I think they're just player for player, they can match actually very well, stylistically. So that's my opinion with Mad Lions. Also, if Chasey is playing Jace, it can go pretty much either way. Alright, so let's finish this off with talking about Team Vitality and Fnatic. So, Team Vitality got upset in the offseason. So, here was the situation. I explained it on the Cloud9 podcast. Okay. What was the Cloud9 podcast? The last LEC one you guys saw. So, basically, Upset didn't want to play with Razork, a humanoid. Upset is a huge grind lord player. He wants to grind out, put a lot of effort into. He really, really, really wants to win a title. Like I said before, Upset's always been one of the best ADCs in Europe, actually. Even when he was on a 10th place Origin roster, still really good, right? But the thing here is, people saw how good he was at Worlds last year, and the way he carried Fnatic all last year as well, right? And when you're Fnatic and you don't pick this guy, it's like, wait, they directly chose the worst option. They chose to go for Razork and Humanoid, whom of which have horrible synergy. They play just really bad together. We saw that this week they played bad together. Why on this planet would you not choose Upset? And some people are going to be like, well, you just can't choose one guy over the whole team. Yes, you can! When he's playing that well and he's the main carry of your team, yes, you can. Build a team around Upset. It's definitely working off in Team Vitality, right? So Upset comes out, returns to the LEC, puts his fat German Uppenschlagen cock out on the table, and he was like, I'm the best ADC right now. Man hasn't even died yet. He'll probably die eventually, it's just how these games go. But this man hasn't even died yet. But the whole Team Vitality roster looks revitalized right now. They're looking strong. Clapping all the games. Every game this week. They clapped people. It wasn't even close. Bo just clapped. Bo hasn't died either as a jungler. Bo hasn't died as a jungler. That's crazy to think about. The whole team firing on all cylinders right now. And that's good. And I would like if Team Vitality made MSI 2023 over Mad Lions. I like Mad Lions too. They're the second other org that I like watching in the LEC. I've always enjoyed watching them in the LEC. But like, if you're asking me, who would I like to see at MSI with G2, Mad Lions or Team Vitality? I just think Team Vitality will just do better. Now, that's from right now. Things could always change, and I know people are predicting Team Vitality to win the split right now, and I hope they do. I really hope they do. You know, I've been watching this org entered the same year as G2, and they've been massively up and down. You know, they went to Worlds in 2018. That was probably the highest high of the org ever, when they had that Jizuke roster of Attila, Cableshard, and, you know, Kikis and shit like that, but other years it's been really bad for them as well, you know, and I would like if they could finally translate the hype they always get into winning a title. With Upset now, and given how good Upset is, there is no excuse as to the reason why that they shouldn't win this split. You know, it should be, realistically, when everything's said and done, it should be a Team Vitality versus G2 finals. Or, you know, that's what I think it should be. Of course, I want to know, if G2 don't even make the finals, they're still qualify for MSI. So they could literally not be in the finals and probably get knocked out early on and still qualify for MSI, which is crazy to think about, but I just don't think that's going to happen. But there's going to be a split where that's going to be a problem, right? So, yeah, I think Upset and Kaiser look better than Neon and Kaiser do. Like, I thought Neon would be a nice pickup for Team Vitality, only because, I think they had enough carries already. He could play that weak side ADC style where you just get a certain pick, you dish out damage, and you just show up to team fights, and you just do that. And you don't take up more resources. But it just turns out Neon just really couldn't do that, and that was bad for them. So they needed a carry ADC threat like Upset, who looks like one of the best players in the LEC. And I don't know why Fnatic just didn't go for this guy. Why in the world did they think that they should have chosen Razork and Humanoid over Upset? It's crazy. And they tried to get this guy to put with Rux over whoever, and it's like, he's like, fuck that. So let's go to Fnatic, right? They're our final team. Like I've probably talked about them in a little bit before. I was talking about Team Vitality. Let's just start from the top. Oscarin, right? Looks fucking horrible. This guy doesn't even look like he's ready to play in the LEC at all. He looks awful. The Gnar game, bad. The Orin game looked bad. The other game he played, he looked bad. He looked bad in every game. No map awareness, no coordination, no cohesion, nothing. Just looked bad, right? Now, people have said they got rid of Wonder for this guy. I will say this. Wonder has not played good since 2021, right? On G2. Like, Wonder has been on a downward trajectory ever since 2021 G2. He played okay at Worlds 2022, but, like, if you look at 2022 as a whole for Wonder, he still didn't look good. He didn't even look good last split either. Last split, he was turbo sprinting it. So I don't know why people are like, whoa, why'd they get rid of Wonder? It's like, I would have got rid of him too. He didn't play good. He hasn't played good for a while at this point. Like, let's not pretend here. He hasn't played good for a while, okay? It's been a minute since he actually played pretty good, okay? Then, you also have Humanoid and Razor, like I mentioned before. Bad synergy. I don't know why they kept these two. Reckless, like, he's attempting to play okay with Advian. I think Advian is going to be a bit better than Rux, right? But pairing up with Reckless, is that really going to be, like, the best pairing? They play a bit better in lane than, Reckless and Rux, but Reckless and Advian don't scream to me, yeah, this is going to be a dominant bot lane, right? Where it's going to win 2v2s and push the lead. And this was what I said about Fnatic going into the LEC 2023 Spring Split. That was going to be, the players that they brought in didn't really fix their issues, right? The players that they brought in were essentially band-aids for a bigger problem that they have, which is the bad management this org has had with people like Dardo. And I'll go over that very, very soon, but not in this video because that'd be too long to go over, right? And I'm sitting here going like, why? I just don't get it. Like, Fnatic is looking like one of the worst teams right now in the LEC. Keep in mind, when I did my video talking about what a massive failure that Fnatic roster was from the LEC 2023 Winter Split, I also forgot to mention this. That was the first time Fnatic ever, as an organization, missed playoffs. Keep this in mind. This is a new format where only 2 teams miss playoffs. You can be top 8 and make it in, and you're good, right? They missed out on their first ever playoffs in the LEC, not only with that roster, but in a format where only 2 teams make it in. That's crazy. Then it's kind of looking like that's going to happen again. Like I mentioned before, they're going to be going through their TSM 2021 year where they're not making playoffs, which has just already happened. They brought back in their previous ADC from years ago that they had success with, that being Reckless. TSM did that with Wild Turtle. Fnatic has kind of always been the EU TSM, even though they're the first ones, because they were as an org before TSM. They've always had drama, always have problems. I'm glad Upset got out of that situation with Fnatic. Like, they're just making so many bad decisions, right? And then, come to find out, Reckless somehow found out that they tried to go and contact Upset again. And apparently they told Reckless that they weren't going to do that or go to nobody else. They were just dedicated to him, and yeah, great. Piss off the guy that stayed with you, and Lord. Reckless didn't play good last split either, and I don't know why he trusted them. Like, come on, they were gonna, as an org, they're gonna do what's in his best interest for the org. I don't know why Reckless thought that was gonna be a thing where they weren't gonna go and talk to the better player when it looked like the whole roster just went to shit, you know? It just looks like there's no cohesion on the team. The drafting's really suspect, really bad. Will they get a few more wins? Yeah, they're going to probably end up with a couple wins. I think at most they'll probably go 2-9. We're going to have Fnatic facing off against Team Heretics. I think I will dominate, said this as well. Whoever loses that matchup is probably going winless. Who knows, right? Who really knows, obviously. But my thing here is Fnatic face Team BDS, who look better, Team Heretics, that toss a coin, and they face Koi. Who they did beat last split, you know? I don't know. This Fnatic roster just looks all types of dog shit. Like, Oscarin looks really bad. You know, and I know people are saying, oh, he's a rookie and all. Guys, we've seen rookies come in, LPL, LCK, and play very, very well. It's not the rookie excuse. Looks like he's just not that good, actually. It could very well just be that. Doesn't matter if he's a rookie, he's just not that good. Now, he is kind of getting just thrown into the fire, which pretty much just hurts his entire career, because he looks bad on this Fnatic roster. He's done. Like, you guys think Rux is going to get any offers when the split's over? No, because Fnatic screwed them over, right? Like, Fnatic, I don't know what's going on with this org, but they're definitely just massively fucking up in major ways, you know? That's what I feel about Fnatic right now. The fact that Upset came out and had that big of a statement game against Fnatic, showing that Fnatic made the wrong decision, was just amazing to see. But what do you guys think about the LEC 2023 Spring Split Week 1? Did you enjoy the games? I sure did. I love having both. Now we're going to have the LCS playoffs coming up very, very soon after the final Super Weekday for that ends. And we'll have a LEC split to also continue that. So in the LCS is also, going to be ending very soon. We're going to have the LEC going as well. We have all these regions going over. I would love to do this for like the LCK and the LPL, but it's just not possible right now. But yes, sorry for not having a Cloud9 podcast dedicated to just talking about the LEC. That's going to restart coming up next week, actually, for Wednesday. So the Cloud9 podcast is Sunday. Sunday it's LCS. Wednesday it's LEC. 5:30 or 6 p.m. PST for Sunday, and 2 or 2:30 p.m. PST for Wednesday for the LEC. And yeah, G2, I hope they look better. Mad Lions, I hope they actually get and improve over the split, because I do feel like these are two orgs that have had lots of players where things can start out kind of rocky, but they've also happened to get better as the weeks went by, because they've always had players on their rosters and their orgs where like they'll start off just not as good because they just look kind of unpracticed, but as the split goes by, you want to just scale up with the split. You don't want to just blow your load instantly. And players like Niski and El Yoya and like Hillising will get better. Well, not just get better, they'll play better as the split goes by. It's like, is the competition like really that hard in the LEC right now? Not really. So yes, I will see you guys later. Like, comment, and subscribe. Most of all, enjoy. I am MSK. This is esports content entertainment, your one place for esports content. All right, see you guys later. Deuces. Peace.